In this video, we're going to talk about the law of sines. Now, why do we use the law of sines? The law of sines come in handy when you do not have a right triangle. It allows you to find the missing sides and the missing angles. And what you're going to find is the law of sines is very easy to remember for a test, and it's also very easy to prove. So let's begin. Let's see what the law of sines basically tell us first. It says that sine A over A, in other words, sine of this angle, big A, over the length of its opposite side, little a, is equal to sine of this angle over B, which is equal to sine of this angle over its opposite side length, C. So again, it's very easy to remember. But how will we prove it? Well, always if you're working with a drawing as part of your proof, see if you can create a right triangle, because then you can use your trig identities. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to draw my height, and the height will always create a right angle to the base. And it's on both sides. Now, since we're using the law of sines, let me go ahead and see if I can find the sine of something. And so let's start with angle A. So I know the sine of A is equal to its opposite side of that right triangle. Well, that's just H. And remember, we're dealing with this triangle now. That's why we drew the height. So the sine of A is going to equal its opposite side, H, over the hypotenuse, which is B. Now pause the video and see if you can find another way to find a different sine, a different angle. So if you looked at it, what we could work on is now this right triangle. And we know that the sine of B is equal to what? H over, that's the opposite side right here, H over its hypotenuse, which is just A. Now, what should we do? We have sine A is equal to H over B, and sine B is equal to H over A. If we can make them equal to each other, then we could set up a proportion. Right here. We have a H, and we have a H. So for this one, we can say H is equal to B times sine A. And for this one, we could say H is equal to what? A times sine B. We just multiply both sides by B over B here. And we just multiply both sides here by A over A. And those canceled. So now, Now that we know that we have h is equal to b sine A and h is equal to a sine B, I'm just going to say that b sine A, and let me use a different color. There we go. So we know b sine A is equal to a sine B, because they're both equal to h. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide both sides by b. The b's cancel, and you have sine A is equal to a sine B over B. Now, let's just divide both sides by A now. And what happens? The A's cancel here, and what we end up with is sine A over A is equal to sine B over B. And you could use the same process to show that it's equal to sine C over C. Sine C over C. Now, how would I use that? We have the proof. Let's use something fairly quick, okay? Let's say that we know that this is 30 degrees. And let's say we know that this is 40 degrees. And we're going to say that side length A here is equal to 4. So A is equal to 4. Let's find the missing angles and the missing sides. Well, find the measure of angle C is easy. We just say, I know that all the angles have to add up to 180, so I take 180 is equal to what? I could say 180 minus 40 minus 30 is equal to the measure of angle C. So I'm going to use the calculator. And we go 180 minus 40 minus 30. It's going to give me an angle of 110 degrees. So C is equal to 110 degrees. So I know that I'm not dealing with a right triangle. So now to find the missing sides, I need to use the law of sines. Well, I have enough information. Let's see if I can set up some simple proportions. See, I know that I have a measure of angle A and I have the opposite side, it's length 4. So I could say the sine of 30 over 4 is equal to, well, B is 40, so I can say the sine of 40 over B. And I could round to the nearest tenth when I'm doing this example. Okay, your teacher is going to tell you what to round to. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. So if I want to find the side length B, I just say B is equal to 4 times the sine of 40 over the sine of 30 degrees. So 4 times the sine of 40 divided by the sine of 30, that gives me 5.142300877. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, so 5.1 units. So it's 5.1. And since we have not been given an actual unit of measure, we're just going to call them units. So this is 5.1. So now we have our 4 units that we started with. We have our 5.1. I should be able to find C. So let's do that. It's just simple ratios. It's really nice. I know that C is 110 degrees, so sine of 110 over C, and then I'm just going to say C is equal to 4 times the sine of 110 degrees over the sine of 30 degrees. So 4 times sine 110 divided by the sine of 30, and it gives me 7.5175, and it keeps on going, but we said that we could round to the tenths, so I just have 7.5 units. And so this is just 7.5. And you can see how beneficial it is to know the law of sines. You're just setting up basic proportions and solving.